I've been having some trouble in the past with Snakebit here, but in general, it's definitely a pretty solid place to make our start here. And the nice thing about snakes, as I like to always mention upon going down, is that if things start going really sour, we can run away, as long as we're not being constricted. I guess that's the kind of asterisk caveat that I need to throw in there, because that's what gets me almost killed a lot of the time here. But we'll switch over to our resistance to poison. I'm debating the reflection. I'm trying to think of what kind of bolts we'll be dealing with. There are a decent amount of ranged enemies in Snake. If we come across the marksmen, and otherwise we'd just be reflecting their poison breath bolts back at them. I think that it is overall worth it to switch over. And yeah, Koval also mentioned a lot of crossbows in Snake for sure. Definitely. Yeah, it might be an advantageous thing to do. And of course, right after spending all of our money, we get an Interdimensional Caravan. Would you look at that? So, how am I doing? I have 310 gold. Still maybe enough for one beautiful thing. We'll have to see how the tables turn here. We only have one magic mapping, so we could hold off on using that potentially. Save it for in the future when we have a portal that we can actually take full advantage of. But I'll have to see how she goes. And also, I missed Kova mentioning that when Pickle gives you +3 electric whip, definitely one of the better things at the start of the game. A whip with electricity on it, even in untrained hands, that's gonna do absolute wonders. Oh wait, hey you, get off my stairs, you son of a gun. You weren't supposed to step there. I guess they were avoiding the giant clouds of violent energy, but still, that's my spot. There's also a unique archer you forget the name of. Oh gosh, I should know it because I feel like I've fought them in the majority of my previous runs here. Vashnia? I think it's Vashnia, something like that. But yeah, we just fought against them in our Knoll last week, I believe. So I definitely can appreciate, the reflection for going up against them as well. Fortunately, we do have some decent tools at our disposal for taking on a stronger unique. Most namely, we have the Phantom Mirror now, which is kind of my favorite go-to solution for almost anything that we come across. And okie dokie, I haven't been paying too much attention to the messages, but just in time I managed to look down and we see the stately tolling of a bell very nearby, which means it's gotta be in the direct vicinity somewhere here. But we can quickly take out these snakes, or at least I was hoping it would be quick, not looking to be quite the case here, so maybe I'll bring in a friend to speed along the killing process. Unfortunately, the lightning that's hitting us is getting a really nice bounce against the wall and hitting us twice. So I tried to take a step out of that and got immediately pinged by the constriction side of things. We should be okay for a couple more turns here. Yeah, Brain, you're also thinking Vajnia, so that might have been a correct guess on our part. That's always nice. Doesn't happen very often, but I'll take it. I'm also just going to drink a Curing here, see how much health that gives us back. A decent amount as long as we're not taking damage at the same time. You love to see it. And because we're very nearby to the time portal, I think we do have time to actually rest up, regain our health, and then we'll finish poking around in the nearby area. Huh. Where are you at? It's got to be very close to us here, so I guess still could be probably around one of these corners. Same goes for up here. Let's try it out. I always forget exactly how many tiles the nearby message implies, but definitely close enough that even if we pick the wrong direction here, we should be given the opportunity to go fully into retreat. And in fact, there we do see that now it's distant, so let's head back up. We've made some horrible decisions in life. Let's go this way instead, pick up the gold on the way, and you sneaky little bazaar, just hidden away in a hallway in the middle of nowhere. Let us go exploring. I did, again, completely forget to drop stuff out of my inventory. So it's kind of nice maybe that we can't afford too much. It means that we won't be missing out on too much either. But I'll mark the magic mapping scroll as a potential buy. Another battle axe doesn't interest us too much. An amulet of the acrobat is okay, but not what we're looking for right now. What else do we have here at our disposal? If we end up finding nothing good, I will buy more Ice Blast charges. Potion of Resistance is tempting, but unfortunately does take up an inventory slot, so we'll have to sacrifice something in order to make that exchange. Oh no, we're just unable to afford the Ring of Yendor. No. That would have not been amazing by any chance, but it at least would have replaced our current willpower ring. Oh geez, tiny little hiccups coming. Hopefully those go away immediately here. But otherwise, honestly, not punished too much by the fact that we just spent all of our money. There isn't a whole lot that I want here. Guess we should maybe check out these, see if there's anything slightly more utility-based. Party Tricks. Does have Apportation, which is one of the few spells that we are interested in learning. It would be super quick. And at the end of the day, it would allow us to potentially ninja some runes, just grab them from behind enemies and hightail the heck out of there. That especially is helpful somewhere like the Abyss, where you never know, any turn you could be teleported away from the Rune Vault. It can be nice sometimes to just, you see it, you pick it up, done is done. That easy. But it takes literally all of our gold to buy that, and we aren't even 100% guaranteed to be taking advantage of it. So let's instead just go through buying all the little piddly incremental increases that we marked up here. And just step out of here looking a little bit better than before. I'll even buy a fog scroll as well, because why the heck not? You know what? We only have one teleportation, I believe. So I might even spend some money on that, just to give us a few more get out of jail free note options. I guess that's that. Again, a bit of a bittersweet thing here where we didn't find anything of value, but we wouldn't have been able to take too many things of value. So maybe it's a good thing overall, saving up our luck for future runs, or future areas rather. We'll have to see how it goes. Guardian Serpent is there, eh? Well, I definitely would prefer to have you next to us. And away from enemies. They can only draw in with their surround ability from so far away, so a lot of the times it can be worth it to just try to get away from enemies, at least as far as away as is feasibly possible. I guess something that I didn't give explicit mention to when I was talking about how we can always run away from snakes, unless they're hasted like that buddy, of course. But one of the additional advantages that we specifically pose on this character is that running away is absolutely huge. Mentioned a couple times that just making enemies walk through our clouds, because they'll try and avoid them where possible, but there'll usually come a time where they're not able to do so quite as effectively. And so we'll very much be more than happy to take advantage of said situations and force them to walk through just ages and ages of cloud cover for us. Okie dokie. Popping our head down the stairs, drawing some attention to ourselves with the sheer amount of noise we make. I think it does bode well overall. Oh my gosh, and I immediately got punished by my rampage. Keep forgetting that exists, but I also didn't expect this buddy to move when we got off the stairs, unfortunately. Asterion also popping his head out, rather. Might be poping as well, for all I know, but that's a little bit of a scary encounter here, especially if they start bringing in too many demons, but it does give us an excuse to pop our condenser vein here, getting the most useless of elements for this specific section of the game. Ouch, this is actually looking real tough as we're taking a whole lot of damage each and every turn. So let's see what our options are here. We could read a fear scroll, just try and clear the area a little bit. That was a nice artifact staff, but giving up a shield is always a tough call, right? That's the the crux of the argument there, because if we were giving up our shield, I would also have just been tempted to take the vampiric battle axe. And I don't know where that ranks. I actually wasn't paying close enough attention because I completely discounted the staff there. But yeah, plus 11 alone, pretty nice, don't get me wrong. But I very much agree with your tough call there. I think I lean more towards the defensive side of things, wanting my shield, but first we have to survive this encounter. So I think I'm gonna open up with a fear scroll here. Oh, looks like I was in a wrong menu there, but that works for giving us some more space. And then immediately step towards the stairs. Oh, we're being constricted, of course, but that's fine. We managed to make it, and let's get the heck out of there while we're looking to be in a tough spot. Yeah, even this buddy alone might be enough to take us down a peg here. So let us drink even a couple of curing, give ourselves some nice health without having to use one of our rarer options here. And then I was hoping that we'd be able to use our box of beasts and bring in a friend to just finish this off. Unfortunately, it does not seem to be the case, so instead we might have to rely on either duking it out the old-fashioned way, or could use some ones here. 22% chance to paralyze, not great. 41 charges though of our 3d14, so it'd probably just be 3-4 hits of the ice blast to take this buddy out, even though that's definitely not necessarily as fast as we'd like. We at least do attack once per turn, doing a quick check with our @ sign. Oh me, oh my. The haste is throwing me off here, because 32 damage plus the dire flail and the constriction on top of that definitely has the ability to rank up pretty quickly in terms of overall damage. We do also have our Mind Burst, I guess, so we could rely on that. There's a 49% chance to affect, so maybe not quite as fantastic as I otherwise might like. And last of all, I'll check our Wand of Acid, a 76% chance to hit, and this will make all further attacks deal more damage as well. So let's blast them. And then we should be able to take a couple swings ourselves, and in fact do manage to do so. Ooh. You only recently learned that only two-handed weapons naturally spawn with Spectral, which is probably an attempt to balance them. Oh, that is very interesting. I feel like the only Spectral branded weapon that I've ended up taking advantage of thus far over the course of our runs was due to a branding scroll situation instead. But hello, Sion, coming at you from the other side does actually work out nicely for me, because we can immediately Phantom Mirror the son of a gun. And then we can follow that up by just laying on the hurt here as much as possible. We'll do 2 charges of the Acid Wand, I think, at least getting the corrosion effect on this buddy here. And then the question becomes, do I want to keep blasting or just wade into combat? I think I come towards, or lean towards, wading in here. Let's finish off the job ourselves. And while we still have the clone of Asterion around, we were able to deal some more damage to all the baddies as well, so that's nice. Making sure I'm not forgetting any spells that certain snakes might have at their disposal, and it's looking all right here. And this is a much better situation for us, to say the very least. We have clouds coming out in the open area here. We're not completely surrounded like we were up and to the left, so there is always that, to say the very least. And if things start looking dour again, we'll just back up into the hallway. It's that easy. Not too bad here. We're able to make it through the fight in one piece. Ooh. Yeah, definitely a bit lacking in terms of experience with Spectral. I found it very interesting. There are lots of situations where it seemed like it was really good, and then I'd immediately get slapped upside the head by just taking enormous amounts of damage through my Spectral weapon. So I do think that it's a very cool brand in that regard. I like the way that it self-balances almost to a certain extent. But not too bad. We'll just keep blowing through here. Seeing a couple shops is nice, even though it's not anything too tempting to pick up, or at least when we have the ability to do so, when we gain some money in the near future here. But who knows how things might change is what I was going to say. Right as we slip through the floor, falling into a crack, we come across an acquirement scroll immediately. Plus right by a downstairs, so I do not mind that whatsoever. Let's try and take these buddies up. It might take a couple turns with constriction, but that all kind of balances itself out. Perfect. That was probably just about as ideal as a situation as we could have expected out of what we had in front of us. Get the +2 pair of gloves. We're wearing +1 gloves of Dex. I think we'll stick to what we have for now. A little bit of Dex giving us some extra dodging on hit chances as well. All the good stuff. And for the next floor, we will definitely head right back up to this stairwell. It seemed like we were able to deal with all the enemies coming down at us right away. You're one I want to check. Dimension Anchor, 32%. Okay, that's slightly scary. Being lacking for willpower is something that you never really want to be put into situation-wise, but as long as it's nothing that will throw us immediately into danger, it should be okay. And let's see what else we have to acquire here, shall we? Orb of Morningstar? I don't think so, game. No need. Manual of Transmutations. I don't think interests me. Trying to debate if there might be any situation where we end up wanting to switch in transmutations. Don't get me wrong, statue form, always kind of nice in its own way, but a little bit of a ways off, especially since most of the transmutations that we'd want are later schools. Yeah, I think translocations would get me there, because that way we could build up into either just using stuff like Blink, or it would also help us potentially get something like Manifold Assault going, and that would be absolutely spectacular with a really powerful weapon put behind it. So I think this one's just going to be the gold for me, dog. And we'll just snatch all that up. It does give us the ability to go back through the shops that we left behind up above here. And we can instead just buy whatever we'd like, to a certain extent, of course. Most namely, that includes buying up this Masterwork ring mail and this embroidered cloak and seeing what kind of advantages we could glean off of them, because our current cloak right now technically is just evocable invisible, and even that isn't that great for us, or at least not too strictly necessary. I don't know if I'll switch off of it for just 1 AC, so there is that. And the ring mail of hedging here, 3 pips of RF, always nice, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately too much of a decrease in our AC, as well as the slow option there, which don't love to see. So we will instead head over to the other antique armor shop, the competition in town, as it were. And I probably will check out this glowing chainmail, because why the heck not? We'll leave the glowing scarf for now, though. I don't think that'll get much better. And unfortunately, the chainmail is no good either. So that acquirement scroll surplus that we stumbled our way into, unfortunately not going towards a huge lot in terms of improvements at the moment, but that is all good. We'll just get back into things here. Need to be slightly cautious of when we start getting constricted like this, but as long as we're able to step away, we are just slowly but surely whittling down our competition here as they claw their way, or slither their way in this case, through our clouds we leave behind. You love to see it. Where did that buddy go? There you are. But if everyone would like to follow me, please, that would be fantastic. Being slightly cautious about where we're walking here, because again, we don't want to put ourselves into a situation where we get completely surrounded due to our own idiocy here and the amount of noise that we're making, of course. Not too bad. Let's switch over to boomerangs, shall we? We don't throw them very quickly, but it's at least some source of damage that we can apply to these further away enemies. And then we'll just slaughter our way through. I need to be remembering slightly more often to use our combat roll. There are lots of situations where it's not good to use it in, such as this one here, where who knows what we'll get ourselves surrounded by. But especially when we're just one square away from an enemy, almost gotta lean into it hard. And would you look at that, a distortion axe. Not great. It's definitely not what we wanted to see. Fortunately, we do have a decent amount of blasting capability, so I think I will go straight to the Ice Blast, trying to also get some extra slow effects hitting on the snake buddy here. We should be able to take them down before they get into melee range, which is perfect. And yes, this is where we should use our dodge roll. Gets a little bit of an accuracy bonus. Slightly better chances of just taking these buddies out in one go here. Not too bad. Definitely going more smoothly than I expected, even with some of the scarier components that we've run across so far. A near death or two isn't much to sneeze at once you've been through enough DCSS runs. And otherwise, we are looking like we're in a good place as we breach our way down to Snake 4. We have 3 magic mapping scrolls, which isn't a bad haul. A lot of times it's nice just to immediately be able to pinpoint exactly where the end vault is, especially when we make as much noise as we do. We're going to be absolutely inundated, just flooded by enemies the second we wake up that vault. You've always found Snake much easier than Spider too. I definitely find it situational depending on the character, but the main reason why I give so much credence to Snake and I'm being extra cautious is because for whatever reason in the recent run history I've had multiple runs that were quite powerful and seemed to be in a good spot, and then just ran into some trouble as we made our way into Snake and almost thrown away everything that we'd built to until that moment. So that makes me constantly in a slight flinch state here, waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it does make it that much sweeter when we go through without constant worry and stress. Fun stuff, game. You heard me talking, I'm guessing, about how I didn't want all the stress, and so we drop us directly into the final vault. Bad luck like that. It's not even usually that well excused. Usually it's my own stupidity, but yeah, I'll take this one not being on me. Okie dokie. So, in general, I probably want to read a teleport, start getting out of here. Secondarily though, it's tempting to condenser vein, make a whole lot of noise at the end of the vault here, and try and kill off as many as we can during our escape. So I think to start it off, I'm actually going to take one step into a further corner so that we can't get completely enveloped, surrounded by the guardian serpents here, and then follow that up with a condenser vein, hoping for not poison. Looks like freezing vapors. Okay, that's exactly what we could possibly be hoping for here. About as good as it gets. On top of that, how much do I want to fight here? Because what we haven't been delving into whatsoever yet so far, at the very least, is our piety stock. And disaster area is definitely built for taking out hordes of monsters like this. So I might even throw it out there just to give us a good kind of internal reckoning of just how much damage we can expect to come out of said upheaval in disaster area here. So let's try it out and see if we can't kill off most of our competition in short order here. Again, making just so much noise, calling all of the monsters that we possibly could up into this top section, and this is why disaster area is absolutely beautiful. Well, while Quaslal is not usually the go-to choice for a ziggurat character, or at least like a mega zig character that's trying to get through as many of those as they possibly can, it still is pretty solid in its own right at just clearing the room completely here. And now we actually are in an okay position to potentially fight our ways out of the final vault here. Bit backwards compared to how we'd normally want to do it, but whatever works, right? So if everyone would just make their way over to me, that'd be fantastic. I guess you halberd users aren't going to be quite as nice. You instead have to shuffle on over. It's tempting to right now to start pulling out some other options. I guess Elemental Force. Ooh, is there a cooldown effect on these now? Or do we might not have any clouds, so to speak. So, we might not be out of here yet. Does Elemental Force spawn from Condenser Vein clouds or only God clouds? I would guess only God clouds, just based on the fact that we have a whole lot of Condenser Vein ones lying around here. Unless there was a change to the number of times that you can spam these abilities, because I thought for whatever reason that Disaster Area was just a completely spammable ability. Oh, not enough MP. Thank you, Coville. Oh, embarrassing. Never notice. I never would have noticed, rather. So that is very good to know. In that case, I'm very curious, and I'm hoping these clouds stick around for one more turn. Because I'm going to wait one turn. Let's cross our fingers and see what happens. Holy moly. So there's your answer. It is any clouds. I guess we could have even just done a quick read of the ability here. It causes my elemental clouds to coalesce. Wow, so not actually that clear of a description. But Condenser Vein clouds, I guess, are ours in their own right. So that is absolutely incredible to bring this many allies into the fold. Almost dangerous in a way, because it's making me want to stay and fight, when it might be a better idea to just get the heck out of here. Alternatively, Condenser Vein is back online. So I am going to pop it again, hoping again, not poison, not poison. Nice. Reason Vapors, definitely something I'll take. And this should give us enough leeway to make our way through the rest of the fight here in one piece. Our summons are definitely getting absolutely slaughtered in relatively short order here, which is to be expected. There were a lot of them at the very least, so all part of the plan, right? And let's even bring in Box of Beasts. Unfortunately, we're still not getting the big buddies. I got excited when the very first attempt of our Box of Beasts gave us a full-grown friend, that we'd continue to see that, but unfortunately does not seem to be the case. I'm going to back myself into a corner once more because the Guardian Serpent is liable to surround us at any moment here. And this might be a good time to call the retreat. In fact, while we still have the health to survive a bad teleport, because who the heck knows where we'll end up, even with being sent out of here with a teleport, so we'll pop that scroll. Try and kill the Guardian Serpent before we go. Heck yeah. And wow, okay, that was essentially as good as it gets. Probably the most ideal way that that horrifying situation could have resolved itself. So I'll take it. You know what, I am going to take just a quick 10-second break here. I'm going to pour some food for the doggo here, since she's just staring at me sitting in the hallway. And then we'll be right back into it to finish off Snake. I'll be back in just a moment here. Hey, Bruce, do you want dinner? Alrighty, Beastie is fed, and it's time to continue our attempts at getting this rune here. It was so tempting to just try and duke it out, to hold on and finish off that fight at all costs, if just because we would have been right by the rune, and we could have potentially just snagged it and teleported out of here instead. But would have been playing with fire to a large extent on top of that, so I think we're better off playing it a little bit safe here, dividing our encounters up as much as possible. Now that we've called some attention to ourselves, I'm gonna just head our way back, let all these friends come to us here. Perfect. And just slowly but surely going through. We're not able to tab at a ridiculous pace here because we do have to be careful of new enemies popping around the corner, especially when we have low willpower like we do in the run here. Let's check out +2 kite shield. Not quite good enough. I was hoping for a reflection brand or something. Might have been worth switching off. But we'll take what we can get, and that might be... Oh, that wasn't even the Rune Vault, is what you're telling me, game. Is that true, or did we just not finish exploring? We just didn't finish exploring. That's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Could end up being at the end of this crazy hallway here as well. But regardless, we at the very least seem to be in a fairly solid spot still. And I guess that answers that mystery. We will eventually be heading back up to that standard vault. I don't mind though, I still would probably want to explore the entirety of Snake 4 here, get as much experience as we can afford, especially since it's all fairly manageable. Ooh, the Amulet of Air. So one of the few, or probably the only, air-branded amulet in the game. It's so tempting when you find an unrand art to completely switch around everything in your entire run in order to be able to use it, but unfortunately, we already get reflect missiles from Quaslaw, we already have everything else this gives us, and it would just be bad. So, sorry Amulet of Air. Can't dig it, not today. Hey Cali Commuter, how's it going? Hope you're having a great day so far. Nice to see you around. Guess I should look into the camera when I say stuff like that. Make sure I'm practicing good communication. It's hard. I've been away from but away from society in general for so long here. I feel like I don't even know how to interact as a human being anymore. But regardless, nice to see you. And there we go, our first rune in pocket. Can't complain too much about that. I don't want to tempt fate too much, but I was definitely hoping that we'd see some decent progress in this run, if just because it would be nice to get back into the vein of streaking victories, eh? That might be a sweet thing for us here. So, let's start making our way towards Swamp. Fortunately for us, Swamp doesn't seem too bad. Hydras, we now have a half-decent AC, we're getting up there, so we're slightly more equipped to deal with them, and we're using a blunt weapon as well, so that's nice. All the Spriggans, I'm very excited to see how we fare against, because our clouds are all undodgeable attacks, so as long as we're retreating our way through our clouds, they should just be absolutely lambasted by the damage, the tumultuous energy that they produce. Ooh, corrosion. Right. Do I care enough to go grab my corrosion ring? That's the question. I think I'll be able to handle taking out those buddies relatively quickly here, so maybe I won't worry too much about it. As we go upstairs and wait out some turns, hoping that this son of a gun would walk towards us. Please. There we go. Didn't want to be snatched out and grabbed into a horrifying position in the middle of all the enemies. But fortunately, does not seem to be the case today. Don't have great ways of dealing with you at range, do we, buddy? I guess we'll just have to rely on some wand stuff. We can go for fire to start out. Does absolutely nothing, so let's instead blast you. Should have maybe done a quick health check. Only 25, so you should be able to be blasted, even with resistance to cold. I think we just rolled low there, so let's give it one more go, and one last go before they're in melee range. Perfect timing. Doesn't get much better than that. We haven't had much uses for it thus far, but the one nice part about playing as one of the bigger species of the game is that even when we find ourselves in shallow water, while moving is more slow still than on dry ground, we at the very least gain the ability to attack normally, because we're kind of just standing waist deep instead of it being, or knee deep rather, instead of it being up to our waist. But I don't like being caught by surprise from behind here, so I think I will reach into the box of beasts. No, our beast spawns on the wrong side, or at least not the side I expected. But let's take out the Hydra. We're so close. I also just realized, upon thinking about it for a quick moment there, that maybe a better move in that situation would have been to do a quick roll out to the bog body. It would have given us some free spaces away from the Hydra. I mean, the Hydra would have been fast across water, don't get me wrong, but it still would have been something. But now we're out of reach of all the trees that are angrily trying to attack us. And still not out of the thick of it, for sure. Still in the fire here. We have 3 Fear Scrolls, 4 Blinking, so we could always double chain Blink to the exit. What else? Summoning, I probably wouldn't use in this situation, even though it might solve some of our problems. Even though this isn't a place where I'd normally necessarily want to use Condenser Vein, I think that's kind of where I land on here. We're not in danger necessarily of dying. Oh, Stone Arrow, never mind. This is why we check, make sure. Could take a bad roll on the Stone Arrow, and that would be an embarrassing way to go out, especially with a Bolt of Cold coming in as well. We have decent odds of blocking them in one extent or another with our Reflection Necklace, our Repel Missiles, and our crazy shielding score, so there is that. But I think I've convinced myself. I'm going to do a quick blast of Frozen Vapors here, it looks like. You can also follow that up with an Ice Blast Beyond and get a quick triple kill. Perfect. And last but not least, the crocodiles are all slowed by our lovely clouds, so it's a good opportunity for us to just gain some ground. Treen away a bit. They do get faster in water, unfortunately, but should be good to fight you now. Perfect. Well, I'll let you come to me, you son of a gun. Love to see it. And okay, we got ourselves out of there without having to expend too many fancy resources. Not too bad.